us to be able to do it in Invesco Field is an opportunity for 80,000 people who might not otherwise have been able to participate to get involved. And it's consistent with how we want to make sure that people from all walks of life, ordinary Americans, are able to participate in this convention, and I think it'll be terrific.
And that was Senator Barack Obama talking about 75 or 80,000 people being at the Mile Hall Stadium. Welcome back to Roll Call TV, where we are talking about all things political and what Senator Obama needs to do to get to that magic number. Of course, that magic number is 270, which is the electoral majority to get the keys to the White House. Our guests are Karen Finney, Communications Director for the Democratic National Committee, and Democratic strategist Rich Masters, and of course Aaron Billings, Associate Editor of Roll Call. Welcome back, everybody.
Thanks. Good to be here.
You got to say, regardless of whether you're Republican or Democrat, it's pretty history-making for any presidential candidate to speak to 75, 80, whatever the number is. It's a large number. To be speaking to those individuals in a stadium on the same day that Martin Luther King made his statement about his dream for America.
Look, he's going to appeal to African Americans. He's going to appeal to your football fans. You know, I mean, he's going to hit it all with this.
It's history in the making. There's no question about it.
But that notwithstanding, this is Barack Obama's element. We all know it. If John McCain were to try to do the same thing, he would not nearly have he would not be able to captivate the audience like Obama can, because that is his forum. Just like John McCain's forum is the town hall, the one-on-one. This is where Barack Obama shines, and he knows that if he ends this convention on a high note, he's going to get quite the bounce, and he needs it because the Republicans follow with their convention the week after. Traditionally, you get your bounce, and then, it follows on the heels of the next party, and then they get their bounce. And so I think this is his attempt to try and diffuse it and try to take as much wind out of the Republican sails as possible.
Rich and Karen, have you seen anything like these enormous crowds that Senator Obama is able to garner, just in terms of, call it rock star status, celebrity, whatever you want to call it? There's no question about there's an attraction there.
There is, and let me tell you, I was an Obama guy from really before he started to run, and one of the reasons it goes back to exactly that, because at the end of the day, people want to elect a president that they feel is bigger than they are and can actually articulate their dreams and aspirations. I went and saw Barack Obama up in Maryland when he was campaigning for Ben Cardin for Senate, and he was only a two-year senator at that point. The ballroom was absolutely packed, black, white, young, old, Latino, women, men. It was packed to the ceiling. And what he did with that crowd was mesmerizing. At that time, I said, this guy's going to be the next president of the United States.
I think the only other time we've really seen this actually was in 1992 when Bill Clinton was running, in terms of the level of energy and enthusiasm and new people coming into the process. And I think we're very excited, obviously, to be hosting our convention in Denver. This week we started construction at the Pepsi Center, and we made the announcement about Invesco Field. But what will be so incredible is that you will have such a broad swath of Americans there. And if you remember, it was Senator Obama 4 years ago who talked about, not being red America and blue America or purple America, but being one America. So we're going to see a huge number of Americans gathered together for this historic occasion.
Speaking of Americans like to see family, because everyone has a family in some way, shape, or form. And, what we've seen over the last couple of weeks is Senator Obama reintroducing his family, whether it be with his wife or with his two kids, Malia and Sasha. And what's also very interesting about this is that it appears to me how normal they are, just how comfortable they are with each other, number one, but also number two, and trust me, being in politics for a long time, sometimes your family you're not very comfortable around your family. You take a look at Ronald Reagan. You could take a look at George Bush. He never mentions his parents. And my point is that the Obama family seems to be very comfortable around each other. I mean, would you agree with that, Aaron?
Well, I mean, he did this big spiel with Access Hollywood. That was not on accident. I know there's been a lot of criticism about it, but I also think that there has been a benefit, which is, average Americans are seeing this guy with his family, just like they sit around with their family and they're picking on each other and talking about pet peeves, and that, people can relate to that. So, but none of this is done in a vacuum. Barack Obama knew he had to reintroduce himself. There'd been a lot of concerns about Michelle Obama and who this woman was, and they need to show that these guys are just like the rest of us.
And that's, one could make the argument, Karen, that is Senator Obama's Achilles heel is Michelle Obama. There is a lot of misperceptions out there. Some people would make the argument that she's too masculine in terms of her appearance and also just in terms of how perhaps she overshadows her husband. Some would also make the argument that she's really the brains in the family. She's the smarter one. She's the one who tutored him when, in fact, he was an intern at the law firm.
Yeah.
I guess the question is from a tactical standpoint, is this the right methodology and the right strategy to reintroduce the Obama family?
Absolutely. And look, I think at the end of the day, the more people actually get to know Michelle Obama, she's going to be one of the biggest assets to this campaign. She is an exciting, dynamic woman, and I think she represents, frankly, what a lot of women of our generation are doing, which is they're married, they have kids, they work, and when we juggle all of these different roles in our lives, and I think as American women get to see that, they'll get some comfort with that. And I do agree that, look, when you roll out the family, as it were, I mean, part of that goes back to what I was saying before, getting a sense of a person, getting a feel for who they are. What are they like as a husband? What are they like as a father? So the more I think, they have to give people a sense of that, I think the more comfortable people will be, exactly what Aaron said, they're just like us.
Well, and in his TV commercials, he's also broadening it to talk not just about his immediate family, which I think obviously, but he's also talking about his roots, how he grew up. The fact that his two grandparents really raised him, that he didn't have a father figure, he didn't have a father in the home at the time, and it helped make him who he is today. And I think people understand that how you're raised, how you're brought up, the family environment that you have. And I think since a lot of people don't really know a lot about his personal background and his personal history, I think that is incredible. It's one of the reasons he's a great father and great family man today is because he had a loving, caring family unit. It wasn't a traditional family unit, but it was a family unit nonetheless. And it's what steeled him for a very long primary campaign. What's going to be a very long general election campaign. And I think you're absolutely right. I think a couple years from now we're going to be talking about Michelle Obama as one of the most popular first ladies in the history of the United States.
You can make the argument, at least perceptually, that Senator Obama is a walking contradiction because his name obviously is very ethnic sounding. However, he's not very ethnic in terms of his multiracial background, in terms of obviously an African father and a Caucasian mom. He, on his mother's side, he clearly was raised, as you mentioned, by his white grandparents. So he has a half sister that lives in Hawaii. So there's a lot of ingredients that make up this recipe. How do you introduce someone like that, which candidly speaking has never run for president before? How do you do that and how do you win?
Actually, I think the story of Barack Obama, what I think people will miss if we try to boil it down too much to some of these categories and labels, it's an American story. Absolutely. It's not just Barack Obama's story. I mean, there are a lot of Americans who share a story of hope, a story of, working hard and
Karen,
taking
do those individuals vote? In other words,
absolutely.
The individuals out there, at least historically, that make up the deciding block in this country in terms of are white women, and also Hispanics as well. At least that's what the trends are saying. Do you believe that they, in fact, will understand that story, the American story,
Absolutely.
and thus in the process vote for Senator Obama?
It's an American story of family coming together around Barack Obama as a young man, as you said, stealing him and his, values. People can relate to that. It's an American story of a young man who worked very hard through school and law school and got married and is raising a family. I mean, that's a story that everybody can have a part of in their own lives. I mean, we're all doing it a little bit differently, but isn't that part of the American journey? And I think what's so inspiring about Barack Obama's story is that, as even Michelle has said, their story is only possible in America in so many ways. And I hope that, as we move forward in this election and as we continue to introduce people to Barack Obama, that's what people take out of this, that this is a broader story of America.
Unfortunately, we are out of time, but one quick question for everyone. VP candidate for Barack Obama? One person. Chris Dodd?
Absolutely. It will not be Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
I agree with that. I have to stay neutral.
Okay.
Michael Bloomberg.
Michael Bloomberg, independent from New York. Really?
I'm just
multi-billionaire.
I know, he's got to come back over here.
All right, well, thank you very much. We got to say goodbye. Thank you very much, Aaron Billings, Associate Editor of Roll Call, Karen Finney, the Communications Director for the Democratic National Committee, and Rich Masters, thank you very much for joining us.